I never thought we'd be making this video.
Yeah. It's sad.
So, as you're about to notice, we fucked up. Specifically, Mars fucked up.
Well, I was about to be like, no, Dade, let me say it. I fucked up. But you know what? Fuck you. You fucked up.
No, I didn't.
No.
I was pretty good on everything.
No, I mean, I was like, hey, let's, we should like take our time. You know what?
So, you're going to notice that in this episode that I'm very quiet, and I know I'm a lot of people's favorites, so it's going to be hard. You're going to want to crank up the audio to get to hear everything I say. But just know that we're very sorry, and we will be donating to a cause for this. I'm donating to Burger King to get a chicken burger to feel better.
Can we restart?
No, this is pretty good. This is pretty good, honestly. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. We will fix the next episode, so we apologize.
It'll be better next time.
Yeah, don't worry. This one's a little bit of a stinker, okay? But to be fair, so is the episode. Like the episode we watched.
Yeah, this episode was a stinker. All right. Back to the folks in the studio.
All right. Take it away. Hi, welcome to Force Trek. I'm Dade, and I'm being forced to watch Star Trek. This is my friend Mars.
Fuck.
Oh my god. Fucked it up.
We practiced for so long.
Podcast. We practiced for so long. It was going to be so cute. And I told her not to worry about it because it was like, never mind, I'll just do it. It's fine.
Okay. We'll try one more time. Off the top.
For realsies done. Let's just keep this in.
Yeah, okay. Keep it in. Keep it all.
All right. Hi, welcome to Force Trek. I'm Dade, and I'm being forced to watch Star Trek.
I'm Mars, and I'm being forced to make a podcast.
And this is our show, and we're talking about The Naked Now.
Episode 2 of Season 1.
Of The Next Generation. That was so natural.
It felt very natural.
That was so clean.
It was cleaner than this table we're eating at.
I know, these yummy Danishes in your hot Dr. Pepper, which is a real thing, by the way.
You always say that.
It is. Have you never heard of hot Dr. Pepper?
No, I know about hot Dr. Pepper.
You put a lemon in it.
Yeah, you put a lemon in it.
It's like a thing.
Yeah. I'm sure it's very refreshing.
You're saying it like you're making it sound like I'm making it up, but this is real.
If I walked up to a replicator and I said Dr. Pepper hot, I'm sure it would come out. I'm sure I'd get one, and I'm sure it'd have a lemon. And it'd be in a little glass cup.
Thing?
Oh, yeah, wow, that's kind of interesting. You haven't had an episode with a replicator in it yet.
Wow, cringe. Am I right, guys? She hasn't even seen a replicator.
Well,
so embarrassing.
I'll just say this for the Star Trek fans at home. Now you know. Episode 1 and 2, no replicators.
Yeah, you can all cross that off your bingo list. Everyone watching at home. She doesn't know a replicator, guys.
Oh, I'm not blaming you for not knowing what a replicator is.
Episode 1, 2, it's replicatorless.
It's replicless. Okay, so let's jump into it. Because it's
jump into The Naked Now.
The Naked Now.
Full disclosure, I've been watching a little bit of the original series now and then on my Discord with some friends, and something tipped me off very quickly in this episode. And the Next Generation decided, hey, you know what? You remember that one episode we did in the original series? Let's do it again. Why not?
Rip it off wholesale.
Now, I kind of had a feel. So it starts off. Do you mind if I talk about the plot?
Oh yeah, that's the tradition.
Yeah. So the plot is they go onto this ship that they heard like people being like weird on. Like Picard was listening to, was like, oh, what's a problem over there? And the people on the ship are like, Picard, you must join us. We're gonna fuck or something. And Picard's like, what? That's crazy. And then like before they can say anything, like the signal goes out and they go on the ship and everyone's frozen and cold. And by that point I was like, okay, it's just, you know, this is how some people die in Star Trek. I didn't like connect it to that episode just yet from the original series.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that did it was Jody, the dude with the glasses, with the
Geordi,
visor.
I believe.
Geordi.
Try not to sound condescending. I'm working on that.
You're doing great. You almost sounded like a normal human there for a second. He inspected it and shit, and then he like went back. But as he was like walking back, he started doing this hand thing where he like extends his hand out and like kind of stretched it, and that's what tipped me off. Like the second he did that, I was like, oh my god, they did that in that original series episode.
His like weird like wrist rubbing.
Drunk. Yeah. So for context, there's an episode in the original series where they got on this ship. It was a similar situation to what I just described, and they got on there and they got back, and the dude who got back started becoming like weird and loopy and shit, and start acting like drunk. And that's what it is. Like they're basically infected by this thing that makes them drunk and intoxicated, but don't call it infected because it's intoxicated.
It's intoxication.
Picard like snaps at someone. Yeah. Or fucking flips at someone like he usually does. And that's like the episode. Everyone's acting drunk. Wesley Crusher like takes over the ship and havoc ensues, and they're trying to like stop him, but he's also helping at the same time. So I guess that's a subversion from the original series, because in the original series someone else takes over, but he's like more of a dick about it.
Yeah, he's like telling the women to like wear their hair down, and he's like, there's going to be an ice cream social at the bowling alley on the ship, or whatever the fuck he said.
Yeah, just some crazy shit. And in the way that one ends, does he die? I forget. He doesn't die, right?
In the original series?
Yeah, in the original series. I forget.
No, they break in and they go, hey, Buster, and then he gets in trouble.
Hey, Buster, and then they all get cured and stuff, and everything's fine. And that episode's pretty funny because like Spock gets emotional, but we're not talking about the original series. But the episode was funny.
But it's relevant because like this episode is literally like almost 1-to-1, and they acknowledge it too in the episode. But continue your summary.
Well, okay, so I'll just finish up. We'll talk about more specific details. That's the plot premise. That's all you need to know. The thing that got me when I first started watching is I'm a new Star Trek watcher. I watched like 2 or 3 episodes of the original series, and I was actually pretty excited to see more of TNG.
I felt so bad.
And I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to get into a new like plot thing. We get into something new, something with all these great new characters. And then it was a rehash / reference to an original series episode. And I was so mad. I was like, oh my god, we're getting more weird drunk character. And Mars,
it's the second episode too.
Yeah, it's the second episode of the show. And you said this, and I feel like it resonates so well, is that it's like, oh, we're getting this like episode where all these characters acting so weird, but the thing is we don't know these characters yet. So
you've never met them.
Really, exactly. So everyone just acted weird, and like, is this not how they? I'm assuming this is not how they usually act, since the first episode they were slightly different. I guess.
Yeah, especially for like a lot of characters where you don't know who they really are yet. Like Tasha. Tasha's so weird in this episode. Tasha, sorry, I'm saying it like I know her. Tasha Yar, the security chief.
Oh, Yar. I only know her by her like last name. I only know by Yar. But yeah, she's very
yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things about there's both a lot of things to say and also not a lot of things to say, because if you've seen the original series episode, it's just that.
It's that again. Well, here I have some notes that are fun. We'll start. Yeah, so my first note is I wrote, the frozen people are gross but better than TOS, and also they're naked. Yeah, because this episode opens with
an orgy.
Yeah, the episode opens with them going onto a ship, and the ship, someone like turned the snow up on the environmental controls in a room and froze everyone to death while they were having a big orgy. Which also, interesting thing, they mention that in the original series episode, but they don't show it. And they actually say that someone took a shower with their clothes on and froze to death. And they don't show it. They say it's like, oh, it's so grisly. I don't want to talk about it. But then in TNG, the episode that's referencing that one, they do it. There's like a part where someone opens a shower and a woman falls out. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun that they were like, yeah, we're gonna show it, and it wasn't that bad. It was just like someone covered in like whatever they cover ceilings with, popcorn.
I can tell you why, Mars. They didn't have the budget to do the effect in that episode in the original series.
Yeah,
so that's why they cut it.
Someone was able to buy like a can of like spray popcorn ceiling and just was able to spray those people down.
It was tell not show back then, but now they have the budget, so now they can show.
Let's see what else we got. Yeah, it was kind of a fun intro. And then again, it's like also like, I don't know, living in a post-COVID world is funny watching this episode because everyone's just like, yeah, there's a disease and we know the disease is around and we know everyone's getting sick from it, but we're just going to keep walking around with no precautions and everyone's just going to like touch each other.
Talk about that? Because I was especially mad about that. Like I was so furious about this. This was, so again, I'm completely new to this. If people who are coming into this episode don't know, I know nothing about Star Trek. Mars has seen a lot of it. I assume these guys were somewhat smart. I guess I was wrong because they all are fucking touching each other. Like, and here's the thing is that like it's connected to the original series, and in the original series this happens. It's on record. They even reference it too. They're like, oh, we found this on record, and like they're preparing the vaccine and stuff because they know about this. But I guess they just don't have any regular sickness that's just transported by touch because everyone, and I mean everyone, is so touchy-feely this episode. Like, I get it's just to drive the plot forward, but holy crap, everyone's like just flew in from Stupid Town. They're all like touching each other and like, hey, buddy, what's up? And like mouth kissing each other. Like, hey, man, we haven't Frenched in a while. What's wrong?
There's
and like touching germs on each other's face. Sorry.
No. You're totally on point because there's like this weird thing where it's like totally for the sake of making the episode work, where they're like, okay, yeah, this character's gonna, because all of them are wearing full body jumpsuits and the only skin exposed is their fucking hands, their neck, and their face. And it's weird to touch someone's face and I guess their hands, but the neck is okay because fucking like 3 times throughout this episode, somebody walks up to someone and just touches their neck. If someone touched my neck in the middle of a conversation, I would flip out. I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Don't touch my neck. And like, very beginning, Geordi, I forget what happens exactly, but like somebody from the away team catches it. I think it's Geordi. And then
Geordi does.
Yeah,
he's the first one.
He's the first one, and then he spreads it around. And one of the people he spreads it to is Wesley.
Wildfire.
Wesley's playing with his fizz gun, and he just like,
oh yeah, he's literally a fizz gun from Gmod.
Yeah, like Wesley designed like a mini tractor beam in this episode, and Geordi's like fucking around, and he just kind of like goes and hangs out with Wesley, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And Wesley's like, I got this cool fizz gun I built, and look at this, I can lift a chair, and also I made this little cube that's that I can make the captain say whatever I want because it's a voice generator. Isn't that cool? And then Geordi's like, yeah, that's great, and he just fucking like grabs Wesley by his neck and is like, you did good, or whatever the fuck he says. And it's so weird, and I know it's just to transfer the disease, but Riker does the same thing later. He touches Beverly Crusher's neck for no reason.
But hold on though, the Geordi thing makes me so mad. Because like even then they're very aware that he's going onto a ship where a lot of people died, and it's like super obvious that this was probably like transmitted somehow, and like he just comes back. I don't know, does he go, I forget if he goes to the doctor first before talking to before he talks to Wesley, but
I think
either way they should have done better precautions of like, we should quarantine you first and make sure you're not infected with that thing that killed everyone on that ship. That should be like common protocol.
Yeah.
If they go check out any ship where a bunch of people died.
Yeah, especially if this has happened before. Like
Yeah, this is
there should be
on record.
regulations.
It's just so crazy to me that that's not a thing. Like, oh, okay, we just check out the ship where everyone died for some random reason. Let's not quarantine the person who just went in raw dogging it. Let's just let them walk around and talk to whoever they damn well please, and like fucking touch their necks and give them big old hugs.
Yeah, just like, and again, it's like also like, I don't know. I know it's for the plot, but again, so many times someone just like touching their. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I feel like I'm going in circles with that thought, but
It's so well. The thing again, just to finish it off, the thing that takes me out of it is the show is. I thought it was full of smart people in the future who take better precautions than we do. You know,
well, you know what it
and
is.
what?
There is an explanation technically as why they're so cocky, and it's not something they explicitly state in the show, but they do say like, "Oh, you know, we ran," because when you beam somebody over, there's something called like it's like a filter, so it just scans your body and is like, "Do you have any diseases?" And then it just filters them out and puts you back together without the disease. And
That's very funny.
yeah, so it's like usually like if you like catch like a microbe, like that's why like you can go down to a planet that you've never been to before, and like all the
Mhm.
vaccines you have in you, and like all the if you catch like some bacteria and you get through the filter, usually the filter catches it. But there's a lot of episodes where they're like, "Well, we ran them through the filter, and but he's still sick. What?" And it's like,
Still, though, I don't know. I feel like they should have. You know, I'm no health expert, but I still think they should get checked out when checking out a ship that is as advanced as theirs. It's not like this was some old ass ship that they found. This was like pretty new that just a bunch of people fucking died on
like
in randomly
recently.
that they have no reason. Yeah, they're not sure why they died, but just comes back and like, huh, that was weird. Hey Wesley, show me your fizz gun. That looks cool.
Well, you know what else is weird
You want a
about this
big hug?
episode? This episode is weird because I don't think anybody, I don't think any of the like the I don't know who was responsible for this part, but nobody knows how to pretend to be drunk.
Oh yeah, let's continue. There's a
Yeah.
lot to talk about with the
Well, my
drunkenness.
next note
So
is: Are they supposed to be drunk? Question mark. Um,
yeah,
because for example,
100%.
this is a good one. For some reason, Jordy is like, ah, I wish I could see like you. I've never seen a sunset. I've never done X, Y, and I just wish I could be like you. But then in the fucking previous episode, they bring up, oh, they talk about like, they're like, oh, you're blind. Don't you want to use have surgeries? Because like, doesn't the fucking visor hurt? And he's like, no, I like what it does for me. I like being able to like see this range of color, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like in the next episode, they're like, he's like, I regret it. I lied. Which, I guess that's fine. But it's just
I mean,
weird.
people are complicated in Mars.
I guess so. Jordy's
That's
really complicated.
yeah, Jordy's really he has a lot of emotions going on because maybe he's kind of grown to accept it, but maybe he's scared. He's scared to take on this whole new life of being able to see everything. You know.
Well, I will say this. Maybe there is a hidden dichotomy of
Why am I defending Star Trek?
I don't know, but I like it. Maybe there is something to be said about that. That makes sense. But it is funny the whole time he's saying all this, he's like feeling himself. Like he's just rubbing his arms and leg. Like he's just like, yeah, all right. Like he's like laying in the bed, like they're treating him, and he's like just rubbing his chest and like
I,
so
I
sexual.
will have to defend. People are pretty weird when they're drunk,
That's
so it's
fair.
like. Plus, this is like probably space alien drunk, so it's probably extra weird.
It's
They,
true.
they maybe can get a little pass on it. I'll accept it. I didn't think the drunk aspect of it was so weird. Like I guess I kind of get over that. I think they came off a little too horny at points. There were some points where it was like, holy shit, this is turning into like softcore porn with like how many
Especially,
people want to fuck. But
especially
let's talk
like
about the first scene.
which one? Which
The
first
first
scene?
person who's horny.
Yar?
Yar.
Oh yeah, when Yar's just walking down the hall and she just sees a guy and is just like, oh sure, and she just like makes out with him on the spot.
Wasn't there a scene even before that where she's like picking out clothes?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
She was like,
she sneaks into Deanna's quarters. She sneaks into someone else's room, takes out all of their clothes, and is just trying them on.
yeah, and she's being all sultry about it. And Deanna walks in and she's like, "You can't grab my shit. What are you doing?"
Yeah, very
And
reasonable.
she's like, very reasonable. And she's just like, "Oh, I just want to try it because all your outfits look so pretty, and I
You always
want to see
dress
how
so
they look on
nice.
me." Which, by the way, very very gay, very gay scene.
Yeah,
I
a,
thought they were going to go further with that, but
a scene where like a straight person was probably like, "Oh yeah, like this is what women talk about," but any gay person is like, "Wow, that was a little
that was
intense."
really gay. And then it's almost as if they realize that and then
Yeah, like the
immediately
next scene.
counteracted it. Let's talk, yeah, because she makes out with some dude, but then after that, can I introduce this part of it?
I think I know what you're
This
talking. Yeah, go for
Yar,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, Yar's sex pesting.
So everyone's in the bridge. They're all like, "What the fuck's happening? Shit's like going wrong." And Yar comes over the intercom and is like, I think she calls for Picard, right? She's like, "Picard, come meet me in my quarters." And Picard's like, "Hell no, I'm sending Data." And
Uh,
Data's like,
oh, sorry. I small correction.
"Yeah, no, go ahead. I was asking you.
I'm sorry.
I was looking towards you. You didn't say
Uh,
anything, so I just
well,
kept
because
going."
okay, so in the episode, it's Picard is like, "Hey, where the fuck is my security chief?" And he tries to call her, and she's like, "I don't know where I am." And then she's like, "I'm in my room and I'm busy and I can't go up there." And then he's like, "Fuck it, all right, Data, go get her."
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I said. Because she was like, "Come get me." I remember that. She was like, "Come get me." Like, "Yeah, come find me."
Where am I? Oh God, yeah. Keep going.
Where am
Sorry.
I? And
Gets
so they send Data. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. But Data walks in, and at this point, as a person watching, I'm like, okay, he's a computer, so this won't be weird. We'll get some funny scenes of him like rejecting her and be like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm just not into that." Or you know, that's what I'm expecting. And Data comes, or not Data, Yar comes out in this outfit, which is trying to be like futuristic sexy, and it's kind of a belly dancer outfit
it's
with
all
like loose
midriff.
silk. Yeah, it's all midriff, and the actress who plays Yar, she's a very attractive lady. This does not suit her. The hair
No.
that they do is slicked back with like a little curl, like a little, like almost baby type curl on the
The
top.
baby
And
curl.
the makeup they do for her is just not flattering. They really overdo the blush. The lipstick does not match the makeup or the outfit. It is
Do you
rough.
think it was sexy in the 80s when it aired? Or do you
I,
think it was never sexy? Because I think it was never sexy.
I think it was never sexy personally. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the standards were a lot less high at the time, but I don't think that's I think honestly she's almost sexier in her normal outfit than this
Well,
outfit.
because it's like they took like a really like she had great hair. Her hair is great.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah, let's slick it back for some fucking reason and give her a tiny little baby curl. And then you know what else? Let's just cover up her arms and boobs with this weird fabric, and then let's also
Well,
just let's just expose her tummy like Sonic the Hedgehog.
to be fair, to give them some points, there is some like underboob action going on. I'm sure
Okay.
that was supposed to be like the like, ooh, how risque for the time or whatever, but it just didn't. Let's keep going.
Well,
Let's
okay. I
so
should specify this too. Like Star Trek has always been very sex positive, but
yeah,
this is such a weird interaction between these two people. It's not like if you're about to have sex with somebody, I don't think this is how you would talk to someone. But
yeah.
you may.
So Data walks up and he's like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And Yar is like, "What's up, baby girl?" Like talking to him and shit. And but the way she flirts is so interesting because she starts off
You even call it
she
that.
lays it on thick. She lays it on thick and then almost immediately starts trauma dumping. She's like, you know, back when I was avoiding the rape gangs, and it was like just a fucking
It's
punch
very
out
jarring.
of nowhere. Like they give you a little bit of her backstory in the first episode, but honestly, I didn't pay too much attention.
Well, because
So
it's
like
like 2
hearing
seconds.
it again, yeah, it was like 2 seconds. And then hearing it again in that like how bad it is in the middle of this weird Data seduction scene is just so like such a slap across the face, because I'm like, what the hell is happening here? And then the weirdest part is not even that. It's that Data's like, well, I am designed to pleasure in every way. And then they fuck. They fuck.
They fuck. That's the craziest part of
she
this episode.
Yeah, she pulls him in. They're embraced, clearly about to start fucking snogging, and the door closes.
Well, like, you don't even before that too, like right before they have sex, she goes like, and all I want, because she was like, here, my life was fucking horrible when I was a child and like growing up, and all I want now is what the fuck does she say? She's like, all I want now is joy and pleasure
and tenderness.
and it's like, is that sex? Is this sexy dialogue that's happening? Because to me, this is insane person dialogue.
I mean, I don't know, you know, maybe it's maybe it hits different in the moment when you and the person are in it, I guess. But the scene was just so weird. I couldn't imagine. I have to imagine it's played for comedy and not like,
is it
like this is so romantic or whatever. I think it is, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's both her trying to be genuine, but it's in such a ridiculous situation that ends up being pretty funny because she's seducing this robot by like trauma dumping on him.
which it's interesting too, like especially because like why Data? Like why did she have the hots for Data this whole time, or was it just she's a man hungry drunk woman and that's what happens?
She's just ready for some sex and she just wants to get banged. I think it's the latter personally. I don't think it's like she personally has the, like, I don't know the series that well, obviously, but the impression I got was like she just wants to fuck. Like she's down for that. She's cool with whatever as long as he's gentle about it, not like a weirdo. Gentle. Yeah, honestly, like I think if they sent
joy.
Exactly, if they sent someone in there like Picard, he's too rough. she wouldn't be as interested, you know. Like that'd be scary. Let's continue though.
Yeah, Yar being Yar, and then yeah, we move on. So also the whole time this is happening too, that everyone's like just banging and stuff. You mentioned this, but Wesley has commandeered the engine room, and the fucking funniest thing is when they show Wesley after he's like fully taken root. He's got full control of the engine room. It's like 5 engineers, and they're all standing outside the door, and they're just kind of like in a line, like kind of like looking at it, interested. And then one guy tries to like walk into the thing, and he bumps into the force field, and he's like really drunk, and everybody laughs and claps. And then he's like, "Do you want to join me?" And the guy's like, "I won't. I'll be faithful. I won't like you know, I won't try to be loyal, you, Captain." And then he walks to the thing, and everybody claps, and like. They just keep cutting back to these people, to this like fucking like this just like dude who I presume is like the assistant chief engineer because he was the other guy on duty in that area, and like he's just like, I don't know, he's drunk, but even if I was drunk, I wouldn't like pull out the most important parts of the ship's computer that I know are the most important parts of the ship's computer.
Dude, he's wasted though.
If you were blackout drunk, would you fuck up your computer?
Maybe. I don't drink much, so I don't know. But
fair. Well,
I it's all played up for kind of comedy, you know. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, you're right. It's a little ridiculous. I do love though that the detail of him like trying to make like houses built out of the pieces, because there's these things, I don't know what they're actually called, but they almost look like
linear
flat
chips.
Yeah, those. There's like for people who have sex, it's like kind of like a USB that's flat almost. And he's
yeah. People who have sex call it a USB.
Yeah, they do. They know what people know what a USB is. They're not that dumb. And so he's like making houses out of it, like while Wesley's like doing shit on the computer and doxing Picard or whatever. She's like pretending to be him.
Which is a good lead in too, because he's pretending to be Picard this whole time. He's fucking up shit on the ship. And then Picard wants to murder Wesley.
He's so angry. He already hated this kid from like previous episode. He's ready to strangle this child.
I wrote in my notes, Picard is going to murder, and I didn't know what that was about until just now.
Absolutely that.
Yeah, because there's a conversation where he's like talking to Wesley, and he's like, "Hey Wesley, the star we're around right now, it's going to kill us all if you don't turn the engines back on."
Oh, he's trying to be like cutesy about it.
Yeah, he's being very nice, and then Wesley's like, "Oh, I can do that. That's my specialty. I'll help." And then he fucking like ignores Picard, and then Picard like pretty much everything but just like straight up flipping out and throwing shit. He's just like
he's fucking shaking with anger. He could punch a wall if he could.
Oh dude, his fist would go straight into space. He'd punch a wall and just kill everyone.
Can we talk about Picard when he gets drunk?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, because let's talk about Beverly and then he gets drunk.
Well, I mean, it's kind of intersected in a way because because I didn't want to go like every detail of everything that happens, but Beverly, yeah, you're right. She does get infected by.
If I can mention something real fast,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Because Deanna gets infected, and then she wants to get inside Riker's mind and bang him in his brain, and he's like, she's like, "Let me into your mind," and she's like hugging him, and then she goes to sickbay with him, and then Riker touches Beverly. And then Beverly's like trying to find a cure and fix shit. And she's freaking out. She's getting drunk. And then she's like, fuck it. And she just goes up to Picard's office. And then from there. I thought you were going to take over.
Oh, did you want me to take over? Sorry.
Okay, I should have communicated that. Yeah, you take over.
Yeah. But like you said, which by the way, Riker like comes up and like touches her neck.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And, like, we talked about that a little bit earlier, but again, what we're talking about here is specifically in that scene, he's just especially because at this point, it's very well known, at least it feels like it's very well known at how this thing is spreading. And he just so casually comes and he's like, "Hey, Beverly, what's going on?" And then just fucking touches her neck. She's like, "Oh, well, I found out that the disease is spread through, like, touching." And then she's like, "What you just did to me." She's like, "Fuck, god damn it." And anyway, she gets horny. She starts going to Picard's fucking area. Does she go on bridge or does she go on to his like private room first? I forget which one happens.
Yeah, he's got this like office off the side of the main area, and that she's in there.
So it is the office first. Yeah. So she goes up to him and is like John Luke, because that's his like middle name, and she's all being all sweet on him or whatever. And they start flirting quite a bit, and like Picard is like, "Keep it together, I cannot fall to temptation." He's like, he's now been infected at this point because he's been touched by Beverly. Beverly is ready to get raw dogged by him, and he's like holding back with every inch of his body. Like, I've never seen this man hold back so hard.
he's like, "Not now, Doctor." Like,
"Not now, Doctor."
He like leans on the wall and then gets right up in her face and like kind of pushes his head backwards, so he's kind of got like a double chin, and he's like, "Not now, Doctor." Like, just
are we talking about the second scene now, when he's in the doctor's area?
No. So he gets drunk while Beverly is talking to him.
Sorry, I thought you went to that scene because
that scene's also funny
too. Which I think would be perfect to talk about now. Which
well, real fast.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
There is one funny detail, and I have it in my notes. You told me that you really liked Worf in this moment because Picard walks out of there. Yeah, Picard walks out of there drunk, and then Worf is like, "Ah, shit, the captain's drunk." And so instead of being like, "Hey, Captain,"
he's right there.
Yeah,
Picard is standing right next to Worf when he says that.
But he's like, instead of being like, "Hey, Captain, you're drunk. You should probably like let someone else take over. And then he's just like, he just brings up Riker and he's like, hey, Riker, Picard's drunk. You should get up here.
But it's so much even funnier than that because Worf is like, he's been just manning shit the entire time, and he's been
doing his
staring at
job.
his fucking desk the entire time. And then during this scene, he's like side-eyeing fucking Picard off to the left, being like, the commander has been infected. And like, it's just like subtly being like, he's acting fucking weird. Because like nobody said anything, but Worf could just tell. He's like, this is weird. He's being weird. He's infected. Because like, yeah, this was on the bridge because Beverly like flirted with him in front of everyone. He was like, and, like touched him and shit. He was like being slightly infected by it at this point.
Yeah, and then
kind of a weirdo.
And then, like, as the episode progresses, eventually Picard goes down to sickbay to hang out with Beverly, and he's really awkward. He like gets right up on her desk, and he's like, "You will address me as captain," and then she's
no. He first starts off by saying, "Beverly, how's it going?" And then she's like, "Oh, Jean-Luc," and he's like, "You will address me as captain," and she's like, "Well, you'll address me as medical officer because you called me Beverly first." And he's like, "Oh, you're right, I did."
he literally says that too. He's like,
I'm not even half-assing this right now. This is like what happens for people who don't know this show.
I think that
quite literally what I'm giving.
How fucking funny would it be if someone was like, I'm not going to watch TNG. I'm just going to listen to them try to piece together each episode.
And like figure out if I like it from what they're explaining.
Yeah,
I feel like it'd be so hilarious to listen to this podcast episode first and then go watch the episode and realize how accurate everything we're saying is.
Yeah, well, it's like especially Drunk Picard. I think Drunk Picard is like, it really illustrates who he is as a person because he's a weirdo, but he's extra weird when he's drunk. Like, it just goes to show what kind of person he is on the inside.
I do like that everyone's like default state is just super horny when they're drunk. Like that, because in the original series, if we're going to compare it, there's like kind of a range of emotions. Some people are kind of angry, some people are kind of sad, some people are horny. It's kind of like a range of emotion. Like there's a great scene where Spock's like really like kind of opening up to Kirk about like how he's kind of ashamed of his half human blood and all this stuff, and how he kind of sees Kirk as a friend, but like Kirk is also like, he's like, I don't give a shit. I'm trying to solve everything. Just tell me what I need to know. Like, and he's getting so pissed. And
he's like low key hitting on Kirk.
Yeah. Like just Spock is so sad as hell. And like, I guess, is it Jodie or Geordi? Geordi is like, Geordi's kind of the sad character, but we don't get that much, honestly. And I kind of wish we got more of a spectrum, but they just decided to go like, everyone's horny. That's this whole episode. Everyone just wants to fuck.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because these episodes were Gene Roddenberry was very involved in this first season, and like he brought on a lot of his same writers from the original series on to this, and so Gene Roddenberry is like famously a sex maniac. Like, I think I heard somewhere where someone was quoting like his attitude towards sex was yes please. And so like
he's kind of like an Austin Powers.
If Austin Powers wrote sci-fi. That's not true, but yeah, he wrote a lot of sex, and he really liked having sex.
Said a fib there.
I did. He's not like Austin Powers, unfortunately.
All right, well, let's continue on the notes. Is there more to say about this episode?
Yeah, I got some stuff. Here's an interesting note. I have the moment you found out that Deanna Troi was not human.
Oh, yeah. So here's something. We kind of touched on it briefly in the first episode, but I like to explain a little bit further. Again, said it a million times, and I'll probably say it a million more on this series, but as someone who's not into Star Trek, it is very funny what they pass off as who's human and who's an alien.
Especially these early episodes.
Because holy smokes, they really try to tell you that this person's not human, and they're almost 1-to-1 looking exactly like a human, which, I have a creative mind. I can go past what you want me to believe, but there is a line and this show really tests it sometimes. And
Well,
Diana is an example of that.
there is a tell for Betazoids.
Yeah, and can we talk about that real quick too?
Oh
The
yeah,
name
that she's called a Betazoid. Yeah, I skipped right over
that they're
that.
called the Betazoids. Yeah, you said it so casually. Their name are Betazoids. What kind of fucking dumb name is
It's
Betazoid?
the most like sci-fi name. Like I don't know what's a futuristic sounding word. Beta. Okay. What is another one? Zoid. Okay, put them together. Betazoid.
If you told me it was a leash lord, that would be better.
She's a
Whatever the fuck
Gargalax.
a Betazoid is
Yeah.
that a real?
No. I made that
Oh,
one up.
that would be better though.
Well,
I would
okay.
believe that I could withstand.
Do you want to know how you can
Betazoid,
tell who's a Betazoid?
Mars. What if I called you a Betazoid?
Do you want
You're
to
acting like a
know?
real Betazoid right now.
Actually, unironically, my character, my not my character. I guess technically, I look like a Betazoid right now.
You're acting like a Betazoid right now.
So Betazoids, the only tell is that they have all black eyes. Their pupil is all black.
Wow.
No other colors. That's it. They're just
Yeah,
wearing
wow.
scleras.
That's so different, huh? They
Yep,
really had a budget for that.
that's
This
it.
show really, I told Mars this, but the shows really feel like they both have a huge budget and don't have a budget at the same time.
Well, it's like interesting because they have like all this money put into like these amazing models and sets, and then it's like, all right,
The makeup
now,
artists are just a penny.
yeah, they're like, I mean, the show definitely gets better once this because I think it's funny because the show hasn't started introducing alien characters, so they don't have like makeup ready yet. They don't have like casts and molds of alien heads, so they
I
just
mean,
have to
there's
like,
Worf,
here's Worf. That's it.
it's an alien. There's Diana or Deanna.
Well, that's the thing.
She's technically an alien.
Well, Worf in
There's
particular,
Data.
Worf is technically cheating because they had Klingons in the TOS movies that looked like
Yeah,
Worf.
but but you're saying that there's not enough makeup.
Well, it's like compared to how many aliens are on the ship later. Yes, there's a ton of aliens on the ship in the end of the show.
Okay, fair enough. It might be different by then.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because these early episodes are like kind of terrible, terrible examples of what the rest of the series is like. Because it's like season.
That's the thing, though, is that you've accepted that and you know that, but I'm coming into
This is your
it. My
baseline.
perspective has always been I'm trying to imagine somebody who is like, I said this in the first episode, but I feel it's worth repeating. I'm trying to imagine it as the person whose friend told them how good the original series was, and like, hey, let's watch this TNG show that's coming out together. You can see why I love Star Trek so much. And like, yeah, let's do it. And then like the first episode was very long and like kind of boring, and there's a weird guy named Q trolling them. And then you're like, okay, that's
Who
weird.
floats around on a forklift.
Yeah, exactly. The makeup's kind of weird, but you know what? Maybe the second episode will get better. It's just pilot stuff, and then the second episode is them being horny and fucking,
And like,
and like all this weird shit.
and it's just straight up a rehash of an episode you've already seen.
Yeah, and my friends telling me, "Oh, this is a rehash of an old episode," and it's like, wait, you're telling me that they're already reusing old episode plots by episode 2? Interesting.
Well, yeah, the Betazoid thing I think is very funny because especially when I told you they were called Betazoids, I thought you really got a kick out of that. But I think it will only. I'm curious to watch you get tested, especially in these early season 1 episodes. Yes. There's some aliens where they really push it.
Oh, they're already pushing it. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, to be fair, Vulcans are pushing it, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but that's the original series. I give it a little bit more leanway.
Well, keeping things on track as much as I do want to just like get
let's go on the notes. Yeah, I wanted to keep going.
The Data being drunk is really good. I love drunk Data. There's like a whole.
He's pretty good.
There's a whole bit where he comes on to. They're like, Data, we need you to come up to the bridge. We need you to help out. And then he goes up to the bridge and he's drunk and he's like talking to the captain and like being like all loopy in the cat. And Picard's just like, you can't get drunk. You're a robot. And then he's like, I am drunk, so fuck you. And then he like Picard's just irritated and leaves. Oh, that's what it is. That's when Beverly shows up. Yeah, that's because Data shows up drunk and then he falls over because he's doing a bit.
See, I remember she came onto the bridge first.
Yeah, she came onto the bridge.
My memory, I remembered it.
Oh, let's see. I also wrote, no one has ever had sex ever. Because
now I'm curious on why you say that.
Because everyone on the show, the way they flirt is like, I don't know, at least to me, it's the least sexy way to flirt.
Well, here's the thing, at least how I see it. From my perspective, from the first episode, everyone's already a fucking weirdo, so this kind of makes sense on how they would flirt.
Because, especially because I've seen them flirt in other episodes, it's just like, what if a child had to guess how, for example, how Picard flirts? What if a child had to guess? Okay, well, it's that. And that's what happens. Is Picard's just like, oh, he called me captain. And then he's getting real close and he's being we've talked about this, but he's a fucking dork. Picard is a dork with a capital D.
It's a very naive, kind of view of everyone acting sultry and stuff. I give it a little bit more leeway because they're playing up for comedic effect.
True.
It would be kind of weird if they were just actually really because they're drunk, you're not acting super romantic when you're drunk. You're saying stupid shit like, you look good, you have a nice face and shit like that. You're not saying by God, the moon's just shines directly on your face in such a perfect way, so I can give it a little bit more leeway when it comes to that.
Fair enough.
I don't mind too much.
And I think that there's a lot that can be said about this episode, but I think we've said a lot of the things that we want to say about this episode. But I feel conflicted about rating this episode.
Oh yeah, rating and predictions.
Yeah, rating and prediction.
Are we there yet?
I think so.
Are you ready for that?
I think we are. Because
what's your rating on it?
Well, I was gonna say, I think mostly because this is a repeat of an episode that we literally just saw. It kind of affects how I look at it. But I think overall on rewatch, if I had to rank it, I'd say it's probably a 6 out of 10 for entertainment. That's 6 out of 10 because it was entertaining to watch. But
that's fair enough.
It's not an episode I would if it was on TV, I wouldn't change the channel to watch it.
That's fair enough, honestly.
Yeah. What about you?
I would give it, honestly, as much as I ragged on it while we were watching it, I would say about 6, 7 out of 10 because it was very entertaining to watch. I was very salty that I was rewatching an old plot from the original series, but everyone was pretty entertaining, and I surprisingly remember a lot of it. And drunk Data is hilarious.
It's the best part of that whole episode.
And also Picard trying to flirt just feels like watching your dad flirt with someone. It just doesn't feel right.
Well, especially when he gets in her face and goes, "Not now, Doctor." I'll never forget that.
Not now, Doctor.
It's just so funny.
Or just call me Captain.
Call me Captain.
Will you call me the medical official?
Oh,
it's just
wait.
So over the top.
We didn't even mention Beverly Crusher unzips her suit and is like, I haven't felt the touch of a man in so long.
Oh yeah, but I don't know if we talked about this first episode. Her husband fucking died, so she's down bad to getting dicked.
Yeah,
she everyone goes the full 9 yards in this episode. There is not there's not a
dry pair of underwear in the house.
I won't get into it too much, but I will say the politics of this, it is a little weird for the second episode of your new series to immediately make all the women so horny and revealing themselves in these skimpy outfits and wanting to bang all the dudes while the dudes are holding it together and saving the day. Feels so weird.
It's very bizarre, especially in the context of Star Trek supposed to be a progressive show.
Yeah, I guess you could say in a way I don't know. I don't know what's progressive at from this point, but it was a very weird decision. But anyways, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was entertaining, you know? Like, as stupid as it was, and I hate that I just rehashed the old episode, but the characters were funny and memorable. And
except for Jordy.
Predictions. Jordy was kind of funny, though, honestly, that he was like being all sad and shit. I love a good sad drunk. I think it's hilarious. Everyone's like having a great time, and Jordy's over there like my whole life I've been without vision. Yeah, and it's just like oh, I'm sorry, man.
What do you think about talking about predictions? What do you think is gonna happen between Yar and Data now?
Well, they kind of touch on that with Yar being like, let's never talk about this again. And honestly, from what I've seen of the show, it feels pretty self-contained to a degree. I think this continues Data's like journey of trying to learn what is human and what isn't and all that. But I think Yar sees this as like a fuck, I can't believe I fucked Data. This is so weird. I have to like see him. Which, by the way, I wish they did more with everyone being awkward the next day, because what a fucking funny thing. Like, that you have to just go to work like everything was normal after everyone nearly had a damn orgy to death in the episode.
Everyone fucking almost orgied each other to death.
Exactly. I wish they did a little bit more than that, but I am glad that Yara was like, we're never going to talk about this again, and this is the only time I'm saying this. Overall, I mean, prediction-wise, there isn't much to say. This is a pretty self-contained, funny episode. There isn't much, like, I don't feel like this is going to alter the history of Star Trek forever. Except next week, it'll be a little awkward.
You know, it's funny. I saw this episode without having seen the TOS episode, and it's interesting that on your first watch, as someone who doesn't know anything about Star Trek, you got to see it with that weird context.
Well, I almost wish that I didn't watch the original episode, so I could have gone into it blind. But
yeah, I think you might have enjoyed it more, honestly.
Yeah,
I think I would have
it was
too.
fun. Yeah, but I'm pretty good with that. So, what do you think? Is that the end?
I think this is the end. Yeah, I think this was another successful day of talking about Star Trek. I think I'm feeling good about having to slave away at a podcast because I get to tickle that small section of my brain that's in the back that says Star Trek on it.
And I get watch another crazy episode with my good friend Mars.
Where a bleep up warp hangs out with a Shmeeb warp, and comedy ensues.
So true. So everyone, set your phasers to a blast, and let's say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.